All right, hello, welcome to the studio. We're going to go ahead today and talk a little bit about how you can create multiple block prints. So today our surface that we're using is Sheena ply. It's a wonderful wood. This is imported through McLean's printmaking suppliers, and it comes from Japan, so it's a very nice wood. So here I have a student's work to demonstrate how we can take what's called our key block and transfer it onto multiple blocks. So let me back up a little bit, show you a finished product. That might help you understand the process that we're after today. So this block right here represents all the blacks that we want to print in our final image. And so this is an example of a print that actually was created using 4 different blocks. And so I'm going to take a little moment today just to explain how simple it is to register one block onto multiple blocks, so you can increase your printmaking abilities by printing in color using multiple blocks. So this is what we refer to as the key block. So what we want to do today is transfer our black key block to multiple blocks, so we then have the ability to print in color and create an edition. A little bit more complex than doing just a single color, or if you were to do a reductive woodcut, you'd be limited to the edition you could cut due to the fact you'd be cutting your material away for each print. So this is a nice system if you want to create a large edition or create an edition and return to it down the road. So let me go ahead and take you along through the process. Some printmakers really enjoy preparing the block with some kind of a color. In this case I have some acrylic, and what you can do is you can actually take the back side of or on the front side of your block, you can go ahead and prepare it so that you can then see how it's going to work. And I'll just demonstrate on this piece, for example. So before you start the wood block cutting process, if you like, you can actually use a little bit of acrylic. I'm just using my favorite towels in the world here, the Viva paper towels, and preparing that the back of the print surface. So the nice thing here is, as you cut in with your carving tools, you'll be able to more easily distinguish what kind of marks you're going to be creating. So you can use a variety of tools. A really good economical tool that you can use is the Flex Cut wood carving tools. They have a nice comfortable design, so they fit snugly into your hands. They come in V gouges, U gouges, and straight edges, as you can see here. So if you're working in linoleum, you can use something like a speedball cutter and get away with it, but once you move into the wood, you're going to need either a Japanese carving tool or some of these American-made Flex Cut tools. There's also the Swiss Steel brand that makes some pretty nice carving tools as well. But truth be told, I really like the design of the Flex Cut tools. They're a little bit more comfortable, so that's what I would recommend. Okay, so coming back to our project at hand, here we have a very nicely prepared key block. We're going to print this in black, transfer it onto the other blocks, and then we can continue to create our color scheme and carve away those blocks, and we'll go ahead and show you how that works here in a moment. But let's first prepare our other blocks. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use some water-based printmaking ink. I recommend using the water-based, especially in a humid climate like Washington, because it takes a long time for these inks to dry otherwise. Don't be bashful about putting out a healthy portion of ink for this process, because you want to make sure you saturate that wood block so you get a good impression on your other blocks. So I've got a little bit of ink out here. I'm going to go ahead and use the brayer to spread the ink. I'm not using a really expensive paper. This is actually a shuji paper, calligraphy, Japanese calligraphy paper. It's really inexpensive, transfers quite well. So what we're going to do is we're going to charge up our brayer, and what I recommend doing is getting a little bit of ink, physically lifting up And again, coming back down on your surface, and that helps you to get a nice even roll. What we're going to do is use just a little bit more ink here. Again, don't be afraid to use a healthy portion of ink. Make sure it's properly charged up. Now the reason we need to print this onto a piece of paper rather than printing it directly onto the block is due to the fact that it's going to print in reverse. So we need to reverse our image so that we can then work from the proper composition. So that's why you do have to first transfer it to that piece of paper. I highly recommend just going to like Dollar Tree or some kind of a dollar store. You can pick up these cabinet liners for really an inexpensive price. And the nice thing is they make a world of difference in keeping your block right where you want it. When I'm cutting these blocks, I also like to use one of these to keep the block in place. And so here you can see we've got a really nice block. Really good detailed carving on it here. Okay, so now that we've got it charged up, we're going to go ahead, just hand print it using a Baron. This is a Speedball padded Baron that I just didn't happen to grab. So we'll go ahead and snag one of those. You could also print by hand if you like. We could use, thanks, I have many helpful assistants. All right, thank you very much. So here's the Baron that we're going to be using today. It's a Speedball padded Baron. So now what I'm going to do is, sometimes the paper is really thin, so if you want to protect the head of the tool here, you can actually lay down another sheet just to catch whatever ink might be coming through the surface. You do need to do this fairly quickly because this water-based ink dries real quickly. Be sure to exert a fair amount of pressure, but again, you don't want to rip through the paper. In this case, you also want to come around the edges so you can create a crease. The other thing I should mention is this process works a lot better, and it's certainly more accurate in terms of your registration if each one of these blocks are cut to the same exact size. And you can see on the side, you can also create some little Sharpie registration marks just using a simple tick mark, and that will help you keep your blocks properly aligned. So before you do this, it's a handy little thing to size your blocks and create a registration mark. So now that we've printed this first sheet, what we're going to do is we're just going to transfer this image. So you can see we've got a nice impression here. At this point, it also gives you an opportunity to decide if you want to cut a little bit deeper. In this case, it might be necessary to lose a little bit more material, perhaps, if that was the artist's decision in that case. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a block and make sure that I have the same registration guides. So I know that the registration guide is going to be on top. You can visually check, make sure that you have it the right direction. You will find that if the block is slightly different in size, it's going to be registered more accurately from one side. So now I'm just going to go ahead, line up those edges, and you'll actually be really surprised how accurate this registration system is. You can also build a jig. That would be a conversation for another day. And I've got one of those I can bring out and demonstrate at another point in time. If you want to increase your accuracy to even more of a detailed scenario. Okay, so now we've got this black key block prepared and ready to transfer onto our second block. So the nice thing is you can create multiple blocks for multiple colors. You can also brush on the ink independently if you want to in certain smaller sections. So you have some flexibility. But again, the important thing here is not to print one block directly onto another block without reversing the image first. So that's why we have to use this method. So again, you want to use a healthy amount of pressure, but not so much pressure that you're going to destroy your paper or tear through that paper. Okay. If you don't get the impression that you are after, you can certainly sand your block down. Try it again. Might take a little bit of practice, but the thing I really suggest is maybe even over inking your initial print, just so you have a lot of ink to transfer down onto that block. Right. Take the time to make sure that you have a nice even impression across your block. And the advantage here is you can also pull up your corner. Likewise, you can run this through an etching press if you want to set the pressure. Alright, but hand printing usually works just fine. Just a little bit more here on this side. Then I think we're golden. I'll go ahead and pull this up. There you have it. So that was a really nice transfer. So we can pretty accurately print a multiple block woodcut in this instance and open up our palette a little bit.